Hello, welcome to Iowa State University. Here at ISU, safety is essential, whether you're doing research in a lab, shop, farm, greenhouse, or field. As a new graduate student working in a research lab, laboratory safety can feel pretty intimidating or impossible. The good news is at EH&S, we have knowledgeable, enthusiastic staff members who are excited to help you at any step of your graduate career. Our goal is to help you achieve your research goals safely. So let's talk through where to begin. We'll start with EH&S safety training. If you are working in a traditional research lab, you must complete 3 online safety trainings: laboratory safety core concepts, fire safety and fire extinguisher training, and the emergency response guide video. If you're working in a different type of lab, such as a shop or a greenhouse, you may need to switch core concepts for another course, like shop safety fundamentals or greenhouse safety fundamentals. EH&S or your supervisor can help you understand which courses you're required to take. Depending on the tasks that you do in the lab, you might need additional EH&S safety training, which you should discuss with your supervisor. Here at ISU, fires are one of the most commonly occurring laboratory incidents. Because of this, you'll need to complete the training every year, and we highly recommend taking the hands-on fire extinguisher training at least once. In this training, you'll have the opportunity to use an extinguisher to put out a real fire. Previous participants have said that the hands-on practice helped them feel confident in their ability to put out a fire in their lab. Alongside our online courses, EH&S provides several hands-on, in-person classes, including safety orientation sessions at the beginning of every fall semester. If you will be conducting research at ISU, we highly encourage you to sign up, since these hands-on sessions will provide a depth of knowledge and realistic application that you can't get from any online course. In addition to EH&S training, you will need to complete appropriate site-specific training, which covers processes that are specific to your research lab and is provided by an experienced group member or supervisor. This training must be documented with both you and the instructor signing off on the record. A template for site-specific training records can be found on the EH&S website. All laboratory employees must submit an online hazard inventory form. This form will help EH&S to determine appropriate controls for hazards you are exposed to and if you need additional exposure monitoring. Next, you should review the Lab Safety Manual, which is the chemical hygiene plan for ISU. It describes the necessary safety policies, procedures, and practices for working with laboratory hazards. Make sure you have a basic understanding of what the manual contains and how to find information in it. OSHA mandates that this manual is accessible to all lab personnel, so your lab should have a hard copy or electronic version on hand. The latest version can be found on the EH&S website. If your research involves any type of hazard, including biological, chemical, physical, or radiological, you must follow standard operating procedures. In addition to the experimental method or protocol, SOPs must include hazards and protective measures, including a hazard assessment, PPE requirements, spill and first aid guidance, and waste disposal instructions. You can use your SOPs to document site-specific training. Just sign off at the bottom, along with your instructor. We've got guidance on our website along with a library of SOP templates that you can customize. Will you be working with hazardous chemicals? If yes, it's essential to read and understand the safety data sheets before you start work. SDSs provide valuable information about the chemical you are using, including details on hazards, storage compatibility, first aid, and emergency response. Check out our online SDS training to learn more about SDSs and how to use them. As someone working in a lab or shop, you must be familiar with different types of signage. The door sign you see outside your lab contains hazard information for the lab, along with emergency contact information. It must be posted on the outside or public-facing side of the lab doors. The emergency action plan must be posted on the inside of the lab exit doors for the lab personnel, and it must contain emergency contact information and instructions for responding to an emergency. Ensure that you are trained in the emergency action plan, and if you notice that any of these important signs are missing, talk to your supervisor. Now that you understand what you should do before lab work begins, let's talk about the things you need to do while you're working in the lab. Wearing all the appropriate personal protective equipment, or PPE, is crucial when you work with hazardous chemicals or biological materials. ISU policy requires a minimum of fully enclosed shoes, eye protection, gloves, and a lab coat in all laboratories. Standard operating procedures and hazard assessments should include this information. When determining proper PPE, consider the body part you need to protect. For example, if you're working with a corrosive liquid, you'll need eye protection and skin protection. Consider the nature of the hazard you are working with. In this case, using a corrosive liquid, you will need splash goggles instead of basic safety glasses. Always make sure your PPE is in good condition and that it fits. Improperly fitted PPE can reduce your dexterity and lead to accidents. Understand how to handle sharps properly. Never throw sharps in the trash. Instead, collect them in a leak-proof, puncture-resistant container. Never recap needles, because recapping needles is one of the significant causes of needle stick injuries. You can find the Sharps and Glass Disposal Guide poster on our website. It explains how to properly dispose of different types of sharps. As a student working in a lab, it is important that you know the locations of the emergency safety equipment in your lab and how to properly operate them. Locate the first aid kit in your lab and make sure that it is fully stocked with unexpired supplies. First aid kits can be purchased or assembled by lab personnel. EH&S has first aid kit guidelines available on our website. Locate the spill kits in your lab and confirm the kit contains all the necessary cleaning supplies for materials in your lab that may spill. Chemical spill kits can be purchased from central stores or assembled by lab personnel. If you work with biological materials, you should also have a biological spill kit in your lab. For labs with corrosive chemicals, a plumbed eye wash station must be located within a 10-second travel time. Lab personnel must ensure the eye wash station is flushed every month and record the test date. Facilities Planning and Management, or FP&M, typically test the safety showers every 6 months. You can verify the testing frequency by checking the tag attached to the safety shower. If you are unfamiliar with how to use an eye wash station or safety shower, check out the eye wash and safety shower videos on our website. While working in labs, you'll sometimes need to transfer hazardous chemicals from their original container to secondary ones. When doing this, you must label that new container. Make sure the label includes the full name of the chemical, a signal word, and hazard statements. Additionally, ensure that all chemical containers have proper lids. Things like tinfoil and parafilm are not acceptable lids. In general, for chemicals in storage, you should be able to turn the container upside down and nothing should leak out. If anything escapes, it's not an acceptable lid. When storing chemicals, pay attention to chemical compatibility and reactivity. You can find this information in the safety data sheets. If you're interested in learning more about how to read SDSs, proper labeling, and chemical storage, we offer hands-on and online SDS trainings. If your lab generates hazardous chemical waste, EH&S can assist you with proper disposal. You must have a designated location labeled with an orange satellite accumulation area, or SAA sign, in the lab where you can collect all the chemical waste. Never transport waste from one lab to another. When hazardous waste is added to the container, a waste tag must be attached, and all 4 sections of the tag must be completed. If your lab generates biological waste, you can either autoclave or chemically deactivate them. The autoclave waste can be discarded in a black trash bag. If you use chemicals to treat your waste, submit it to EH&S as hazardous chemical waste. Safe lab practices keep you and the people around you safe. Not having food or drinks in the lab, keeping the labs clean and uncluttered, and not touching your phone, doorknobs, or elevator buttons while wearing gloves are good laboratory practices. Always wash your hands after removing your gloves. Discuss your group's emergency procedures with your supervisor. If an incident or near miss happens, you should be aware of what to do. All work-related injuries, illnesses, exposures, or near misses must be reported to your supervisor, even when medical attention is not required. The injured person and/or the supervisor must complete an incident report through the ISU Incident Portal within 24 hours of the incident. The ISU Incident Portal can be found on our website. Today, we've covered some basic safety information to help you begin your research safely here at ISU. However, this is not an exhaustive list, and each lab will present some unique safety challenges. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact us at 515-294-5359 or email us at ehsinfo@iastate.edu. Thanks for your commitment to safety and best of luck with your research career here at ISU.